My name is H.A. Goodman, and I'm an author, columnist, and journalist. To support this YouTube channel, go to my Patreon link below, subscribe. We're almost at 105,000 subscribers. Hit the notifications bell and make sure you get all the notifications to this channel. We are on our way to 200,000 subscribers. You can find me on Minds, Vimeo, Gab, BitChute, Steemit, and of course Twitter and Facebook. This is a very, very interesting article. White House Democratic memo does not keep American lives safe. So the FBI has concluded that the Democratic memo is a risk to national security, which is why Adam Schiff is meeting with the FBI either today or tomorrow. And the same concerns or grievances that the Democratic Party had with the Nunes memo, the Nunes FISA memo, interestingly enough, are the same concerns that the FBI and the intelligence community and the DOJ and all the revered institutions have with the Adam Schiff memo. Isn't that interesting? So, what does that tell you? Not only about the Democratic strategy against Trump, but also about the duplicity and the disingenuous value system, if you can call it that, of the Democratic Party. The same Democratic Party that cheated Bernie Sanders. A classified memo compiled by Democrats on the House Intelligence Committee was not authorized for release by President Donald Trump because it revealed too much about sources and methods, White House Deputy Press Secretary Hogan Gidley said on Fox Monday. This Democratic memo does not keep American lives safe. I'll repeat. This Democratic memo does not keep American lives safe. So, what does that tell you? What does that tell you? It reveals serious national security information that could quite frankly put our lives at risk, and the president is not going to do that. The memo was compiled in response to its Republican counterpart, which alleges broad abuse of FISA authority by top officials in the Democratic and the Department of Justice and the FBI. Democrats say their memo will push back and add key context to the document released by Devin Nunes and other House Intel Republicans. Now, the interesting thing is, key context. What Adam Schiff has done is, and what the Democrats have done on the Intel Committee, is they've doubled down on gossip, hearsay, rumor, innuendo, conjecture, Democratic operatives, their dossier. So Christopher Steele had a dossier that Fusion GPS eventually sold to the DNC and Hillary Clinton. That alone, in any other era of American politics, would scream conflict of interest. That alone would just end any investigation. If there was a similar Mueller-type probe, that would just say, okay, you know what? All of this is nonsense. The DNC and Hillary Clinton practically purchased FISA warrants. We have to end this. There's a conflict of interest. Instead, you have the Washington Post giving 4 Pinocchios, and I explained that yesterday on this channel, stating, well, you know, it's a real stretch to say that Hillary Clinton colluded with Russia. It's a real stretch, even though, and this is the guy at the Washington Post, this is why you have to take this whole darkest corners of the internet, ridiculous Wall Street Journal article with a grain of salt. There are people, a great many journalists, quote-unquote journalists, in Washington, D.C., I should say that there's a political establishment in the U.S. that is petrified of any narrative outside CNN and MSNBC and the New York Times. Not saying that every story or every belief system or every narrative outside CNN is right or based on fact. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is that they are absolutely frightened beyond belief that people will be able to think independently and say, you know what, Russian Facebook ads didn't cause Wisconsin to vote for Trump. Wisconsin hasn't voted for a Republican since 1984. Michigan and Pennsylvania haven't voted for a Republican since 1988. Using just those facts right then and there, you know that something was really wrong with Clinton. It could be the fact that James Comey wrote a letter stating that she could have been indicted a week before the election. That's what that letter talked about. 18 classified emails on Bill Clinton. All these predators and sexual deviants, they're all mixed together. Who knows? Bill Clinton, Anthony Weiner. But this is a profanity alert. They don't want you to know the profanity alert. So if you don't want to hear profanity, then please stop watching. The Democratic Party, and especially this Democratic FISA memo, and all the journalists, and all the wonderful pundits on the Democratic side who cheated Bernie Sanders, don't want you to do just your independent research and find out that Anthony Weiner's dick photos were alongside classified U.S. intelligence that emanated from Hillary's unencrypted, crappy, shitty server. That even if the average person at Best Buy who works at Best Buy could probably build a better server than that. And she had special access program intelligence. So there you go. This is all a facade. Nobody has made a bigger mockery of the U.S. intelligence community, which many people think it's an oxymoron. The U.S. intelligence community. No one has made a bigger mockery than Hillary Clinton. There's not a country on the planet that would allow a top official to have his or her own private server. The security risks, of course, that's the biggest issue, but even more than the security risks, and the whole planet hacked Clinton's server. It was unencrypted for 3 months. Miraculously, her emails for those 3 months are missing, so we don't know if she received top secret intelligence. Of course she did, but anyway, nobody would trust an official with their own server. If you have your own private server that even the President of the United States and theoretically the NSA doesn't know. Ever wonder how 7 NSA officials, and this was CBS News, and I speak about this in Butthurt Top Secret Emails. I have 4 books below. Check them out on Amazon. Ever wonder how the NSA didn't know? And they know everything, all the communication that comes in and out of the U.S. government. And they just didn't know that Hillary Clinton had ClintonEmail.com. Wow, that's funny. That's really funny. Anyway, they knew. The president knew. All of this is to hide the fact that Hillary Clinton actually committed crimes. That's just one of the many crimes she committed. So, and Bill and Hillary have committed crimes with the Clinton Foundation. When the indictments take place, because there's a renewed email and FBI probe, so I've already been vindicated on that. Been vindicated on a whole bunch of things, but anyway. And I continue to do so, and you continue to do so with everything going on. But ever wonder why there's a renewed FBI, Clinton Foundation, and DOJ email probe? It all relates to the fact that Hillary Clinton, there's an article out in the Federalist, very interesting article. It all relates to the fact that Hillary Clinton, her campaign, in July of 2016, it is said that, that's when the Steele dossier was finally compiled. July of 2016, James Comey stated that Hillary Clinton didn't have enough intelligence to be indicted. She was too utterly stupid and inept. So she was too stupid to indict. There's too big to fail. Clinton was too stupid to indict. This is the highly qualified. In Politico the other day, she's supremely qualified. That it's almost like a condescending remark too. They don't even get that. No one says. Generally, they don't constantly say that somebody's qualified for something if that person is actually qualified. That's a whole other story. Anyway, the point is, what is the point here? Where am I going? The Democratic memo is said to be something that risks lives. Okay, so Trump is basically using, who knows, it probably doesn't, just like the Nunes memo didn't. But the interesting thing is, the Democrats have to probably double down on their lies, so they're going to just try to put as much classified intelligence in there as possible to say, you see, look at this, look at that. We had to spy on Carter Page and Manafort. We had to do all these things, even though nobody's been indicted for Russian collusion. Trump isn't even the subject of an investigation. Adam Schiff, James Clapper, Dianne Feinstein, all of these people have zero evidence of Trump-Russia collusion. Facebook ads didn't give votes to Trump. Neither did Twitter bots. There were more Twitter bots from Correct the Record than anything Russia could have created. Nobody talks also about the Correct the Record trolls. David Brock spent $1 million. He probably spent a lot more. There were campaign finance violations that Hillary Clinton committed, along with the Clinton Foundation scandals and everything else. But the Democratic memo is said to risk lives. So if that's true, that's just how far they have to descend to cover up their madness. It's just unbelievable. It's unbelievable. You would think after cheating Bernie Sanders and losing to Trump that they would say, you know what, let's just look in the mirror. How did we lose? Maybe we can focus more on policies. Maybe we could define what our value system is as Democrats. Maybe we could say, hey, look, you know what, the Republicans are hawkish. We're going to try to bring our soldiers home. Nat can't do that. Bill Kristol and Robert Kagan and all the neoconservatives are now Democrats. Oops. Sorry. Maybe we're going to focus on breaking up too big to fail banks so we don't, have to bail out banks like what Bush and Obama did. Nope, sorry. They're just as much. Goldman Sachs would have been in Clinton's administration, just like Trump's. So there's no difference. Tell me the major differences aside from certain policies here and there. The biggest issues, they're the same in many ways. One thing I really appreciate about Trump is that he is taking on the intelligence community, at least the remnants of the intelligence community beholden to Obama. The same President Obama that waged a war against whistleblowers and utilized the Espionage Act against people who did not harm national security, but somebody who did, his own Secretary of State, made a mockery of the intelligence community, he let slide. But the Washington Post's unbelievable. Getting back to the Washington Post. They're like, no, Clinton didn't collude. Yes. And this is like the Bill Maher, I call it the Bill Maher syndrome. The kind of swarmy, know-it-all, pathetic, everything's relative. Everything's morally relative, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. You really know what's going. We know what's the deal is. We know what the real deal is, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. So the Washington Post writer goes, yes, it's true that Clinton's law firm purchased the dossier for Clinton and the DNC. Yeah, that's true. Probably used Bernie's money. Who knows? That's true, and it's true that that there was another dossier. This is unbelievable. This is actually in the Washington Post. It's true that there's another dossier compiled by Cody Shearer and Sidney Blumenthal. So what does that even prove? The flip side would be Sean Hannity and Mark Levin. If Sean Hannity and Mark Levin wrote a dossier about Clinton, could you imagine the indignation would be heard throughout the ever-expanding universe? Livid wouldn't even be a word. It would be their heads would explode, physically explode. What? Mark Levin and Sean Hannity? Oh my God! Oh, the right wing wrote a dossier. Well, So Cody Shearer and Sidney Blumenthal wrote a dossier also, and they actually, reports showed, they helped compile the dossier of Christopher Steele. So then the Washington Post articles, yeah, that's true. And it's true that Papadopoulos was drunk. All this, yeah, everything's true. They concede everything. But if you don't have any shame, if you are a brainwashed New York Times, Washington Post, MSNBC, CNN pundit, there's nothing that Obama's administration could do to cause you shame. Nothing. What about destroying Libya? It's a mistake. It's a mistake. Happens. Mistake. Usually a mistake is like, I lost the car keys. I don't know. In your life, do you destroy a country? No. How many presidents can say they destroyed an entire nation or a country? Well, there's Bush, who was the worst president of all time. There's Obama. There's obviously other presidents too. But if Trump, no matter what he does in 8 years, because he's going to win in 2020, that'll be glorious. Oh my God. That will be fantastic. The ultimate political retribution. And if you think that, and if you don't like me, make sure Democrats win. Make sure Democrats win. Have them, I don't know, apologize for cheating Bernie and forget about the Russia myth. And if you can't do that, I don't know. But have Democrats in some way try to actually win an election instead of stomping their feet and crying like babies. Anyway, this is going all over the place because there's just so much to talk about regarding the insanity. The Democratic FISA memo is going to double down. Oh yeah, the Washington Post. So anyway. So then they say, oh, well, she didn't really collude with Russia. She paid someone to collude with Russia because the Steele dossier was compiled with Russian sources, and then she paid the Fusion GPS for the Steele dossier, but she didn't collude with Russian sources. Oh, okay. Because if Trump purchased a dossier compiled with Russian sources, they would say he colluded with Russia. So, a drunken conversation that Trump had nothing to do with. It's just like, it's like the spousal abuse, the domestic abuse of people who work for in the White House. What does Trump have to do with that? Yes, it's horrible. It's disgusting. Of course, he should never have been given the job. They should have ran a background check, whatever. That's a whole other story. But what does Trump have to do with that? You're going to then now harp on Trump when it took Hillary Clinton 5 days to talk about Weinstein, and she didn't care. And then Meryl Streep, all of them. Even Oprah. Nobody cared about Harvey Weinstein. They knew everything, all his crimes, all his disgusting behavior against women. They didn't care. You think Bill Clinton has his own Wikipedia page on sexual assault? They don't care. They don't care. And then this is how horrible Clinton is. She's reviled by so many throughout the country. There's an audio of Trump. This is a profanity alert. Of course, it's all over the place. But Trump grabbing women by the pussy, and he still won. He still won. It was obviously a hot mic, and obviously, whatever, banter, whatever. Okay? It wasn't like, some guy's blog post where he says, that he grabbed countless breasts at Mardi Gras. Cenk Uygur! So, a specific location, and he was, stating that he was drunk and countless. Okay, anyway. The Democratic FISA memo is, I can't wait. Please, Trump, declassify it tomorrow. Tomorrow, by the way, is going to be very important. Check my last segment, Julian Assange ruling, WikiLeaks, that the UK ruling regarding Julian Assange's freedom. That's a whole other story, and please check out my last segment on that. Give me your thoughts below. The Democratic memo from Adam Schiff is said to risk American lives. And you play by the intelligence community. If you live your life by the intel community, you're going to fall politically by the intel community. And every step of the way, this is a profanity alert. How is it that every step of the way Trump is kicking their ass, yet the Democratic Party owns the media? MSNBC, CNN, Washington Post, New York Times, New York Magazine, Atlantic, Vanity Fair, Esquire, The View, Bill Maher. I mean, how is it that he's kicking their ass every single time? And they don't even know it. Have you ever seen someone who loses all the time but thinks that he wins? How is that even possible? They don't get it. The writing's on the wall for 2020 and 2018. They're not going to, at this rate, and I think things are going to get worse for the Democratic Party. They're not going to win back Congress, and they will have bucked an historic trend. History says they should win Congress. History says they should win back Congress. But the Democrats will grasp defeat from the jaws of victory every chance they get. Have you ever seen the Buffalo Oilers game from the 90s? By the way, I wanted the Oilers to win that game. But have you ever seen that game? Watch it on YouTube. Okay? I love Warren Moon, by the way. But watch that game. Watch that game. It's like the Democrats are the Oilers, and Trump is Buffalo, and he just comes back, and they have all these advantages. They're up by 30 or 40 or whatever, and Buffalo came back and won. It's just unbelievable that even with the FISA, with the election, they had every advantage. Hillary still lost. She cheated and lost. How bad do you have to be to cheat and lose? She cheated. Bernie still lost. Then they tried to spy on Trump, found nothing. And now everybody's finding out things about how corrupt they are, even more corrupt than we could ever imagine. Then Nunes writes a memo, and then Schiff's stupid-ass memo is blocked by the FBI for the same reasons that Schiff said the Nunes memo should be blocked. It's like this. It's like the Three Stooges. This is like a comedy. It's like a giant. The Democratic Party is like watching the Three Stooges on constant loop. Give me your thoughts below. Share this segment everywhere. Subscribe to this YouTube channel. Thank you so much for listening.